The scream I heard that morning still haunts me. It wasn't the kind of scream a child makes when they fall or scrape a knee. It was the kind that tears a parent's soul apart. I froze on the sidewalk as my daughter, Lily, stood by the big yellow school bus clutching her backpack, and then Karen, the same HOA Karen who'd been stalking us for months, raised a gun. Before I could even shout, the gun exploded. The bus driver hit the horn in pure shock, kids screamed and ducked, and Lily collapsed to the pavement, blood blooming through her shirt. My legs nearly gave out, but what shook me even more was what Karen whispered afterward, something that made the police recoil, something that changed everything about who she really was and why my daughter was targeted. Before I start the story, I want to ask you, yes, you watching this? Speech balloon, which city are you watching from? Comment your city name below. I love seeing how many amazing people from all across the USA tune into these stories. And before we dive into this emotional roller coaster, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss another heart-stopping story like this. All right, take a breath, because what happened next changed my family forever. That morning started like any other, the sun barely rising over the quiet suburban neighborhood, kids dragging their backpacks, parents clutching coffee cups, the familiar rumble of the school bus echoing down the street. Nothing felt unusual except Karen. HOA Karen. She stood across the road, hands clenched, eyes burning with a hatred I still can't explain. She'd been on edge for weeks, nitpicking every rule, every noise, every step my daughter took. But I never imagined she was capable of something irreversible. Lily, my 12-year-old daughter, was gentle, shy, always humming little tunes under her breath. She didn't deserve what was about to happen. None of the children did. As she stepped toward the school bus, waving goodbye to me with that innocent smile, I saw Karen break into a run. At first, I thought she was coming to yell again, to start another pointless HOA argument. But then I saw the glint. Cold, metallic, deadly. Before I could even process the horror, Karen raised the gun. Right there, in front of the school bus full of screaming children, and aimed directly at my daughter. What happened next didn't just expose Karen's darkness. It exposed a truth about my own past that even Karen never expected. The moment Karen raised the gun, time did something strange. It didn't slow down, it didn't freeze, it shattered. It broke into sharp, jagged pieces that stabbed into my chest with every heartbeat. I remember the sound of birds suddenly stopping mid-chirp, the school bus engine humming like it didn't realize a nightmare was unfolding right in front of it, and Lily's tiny footsteps tapping on the pavement as she turned back toward me. "Dad," she whispered, confused. She didn't see the gun yet. I did. "Lily, down." I screamed so loud my voice cracked. But the scream came too late. The gunshot ripped through the air, a brutal, deafening crack that silenced everything else. Kids dove inside the bus. The driver ducked behind the wheel. Parents froze with their hands over their mouths. And my little girl, my bright, beautiful, pure-hearted Lily, dropped her backpack as her body jerked sideways, collapsing onto the concrete. Her pink lunchbox rolled out, skidding until it hit the bus tire. I remember my knees buckling, but adrenaline shoved me forward, my hands shaking as I sprinted toward her. There was blood on her shirt. Too much. Too fast. My brain refused to process it. It felt impossible, unreal, like a nightmare my mind would wake me from any second. But this wasn't a nightmare. This was Karen. She stood there, breathing hard. Gun still raised, her face twisted into something animalistic. Not anger. Not fear. Something worse, obsession. Hate built over weeks, months, maybe years. "You people don't belong here," Karen shouted, pointing the gun like she was proud of what she'd done. "I told you." I told everyone. Parents started yelling at her, screaming for someone to call 911. Some filmed on their phones, their hands trembling. The bus driver jumped out, holding a radio, shouting into it with panic. I dropped beside Lily, pressing my hands to her wound as gently as I could. "Stay with me, baby. Keep your eyes on me." "Daddy's here," I whispered, trying to sound calm, but shaking so violently I could barely breathe. Her lips trembled. Dad, it hurts. Those 3 words broke me more than the gunshot ever could. Look at me. Don't close your eyes, I said, brushing her hair back. She reached up weakly, grabbing my sleeve like she was afraid I'd disappear. Behind me, I heard Karen's boots crunch on the pavement. She moved closer, not running, not scared, walking calmly, like she had accomplished something righteous. Step away from her, Karen said coldly. I didn't move. Couldn't move. Step away. She aimed the gun at me now. A shockwave of rage, fear, and pure fatherly instinct surged through me. My body moved before my brain did. I turned, shielding Lily with my whole frame, ready to take whatever came next. But instead of shooting again, Karen leaned closer and whispered something that made my blood run cold. She had to be stopped. You know why? I stared at her, confused, horrified. Stopped from what? My daughter? A danger? Make it make sense. But Karen wasn't finished. She leaned in even closer, her voice trembling with fury. She knows what you are. What I am. What was she talking about? Before I could respond, distant sirens began to wail, growing louder, slicing through the tension. Karen didn't run, didn't hide. She simply stepped back and dropped the gun at her feet calmly, as if she were done. Like she had completed something. 2 police cruisers screeched to a stop. Officers jumped out, weapons drawn, pinning Karen to the ground. She didn't fight. She didn't scream. She just smiled, a slow, eerie smile, staring directly at me as they dragged her to the squad car. A detective rushed to my side. Ambulance is 1 minute out. Keep pressure on the wound, sir. Stay with her. Stay with her. I nodded, tears blurring my vision. Lily's breathing grew shallow. You're okay, sweetheart. Daddy's right here. I kept saying again and again, like it was a spell that would keep her alive. But behind my words was a storm I couldn't explain. What did Karen mean? What did she think Lily knew? What was she hinting at about me? And why did she shoot a child in broad daylight in front of an entire neighborhood? The ambulance arrived, medics rushing out with a stretcher. They lifted Lily gently, placing oxygen on her face. I tried to climb in, but one medic blocked me. Sir, we need space to stabilize her. Follow us in your car. I froze. Separating me from her felt unbearable. But someone placed a firm hand on my shoulder. Sir, let them work. It was the detective. His badge read Miller. I swallowed hard and nodded. As the ambulance sped away, lights flashing, sirens blaring, Detective Miller guided me toward his car. We need your statement, he said, and we need to talk about something Karen said when we arrested her. My heart dropped. What did she say? I asked. She said, Miller paused, studying my face. She said you're hiding something, and that your daughter was in danger because of it. I felt my stomach twist. Hiding something. Something Karen thought she knew. Detective, I said, voice shaking, I don't know what she's talking about. I just want my daughter alive. Miller exhaled and nodded. Then, let's start from the beginning. As he opened the car door for me, I caught one last glimpse of the crime scene, the school bus, the children crying, the parents shaken, and the dark stain where Lily fell. A normal morning destroyed in seconds. But this wasn't random. This wasn't impulsive. This was planned, targeted, and whatever Karen knew, whatever she thought Lily knew, was about to unravel a truth that would flip the entire investigation upside down. The police station felt colder than usual. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The walls were lined with faded bulletin boards, and every officer who passed by kept glancing at me, some with pity, some with suspicion, but none of them looked as conflicted as Detective Miller, who led me into a small interview room. He closed the door, sat across from me, folded his hands, and studied my face the way someone studies a ticking device they don't understand yet. Before we start, he said softly, your daughter is in surgery. The hospital will call the moment they know anything. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. Just ask whatever you need. He tapped his pen against the table. Karen said something after her arrest. Something strange. My heart pounded. What exactly? He looked directly into my eyes. She said, "Your daughter was getting too close to the truth. That if she didn't stop her, the whole neighborhood would burn. She said, 'You're not who you say you are.'" I stared at him, stunned. "Detective, I'm a father. I'm a construction manager. That's it. What truth could my 12-year-old daughter possibly be close to?" Miller leaned back, exhaling. "That's what I'm trying to understand." There was a silence, long, heavy, suffocating. Then he slid a folder across the table. "You should see this." I opened it and froze. Inside were printed screenshots from Karen's home security system taken over the last 2 months. Pictures of Lily walking to the bus stop, playing in the yard, drawing with chalk on the sidewalk. Even shots through our living room window. Karen had been watching us. Obsessively. She had cameras everywhere, Miller said, facing everyone's homes. But she spent most of her time monitoring yours. I felt sick, violated, terrified. Why? Why us? That's what we want to know. But there's more. He hesitated. She also kept a journal. He pulled out another document, pages filled with aggressive handwriting. I skimmed the entries. They don't belong in this community. He's pretending to be normal. The daughter sees too much. I know what he did. My blood ran cold. What the hell is this supposed to mean? I whispered. "We don't know yet," Miller said, "but Karen believed you were lying about something major." I slammed the folder shut. "She shot my daughter, detective. She's insane. Nothing she wrote makes sense." Miller didn't argue. Instead, he lowered his voice. "Maybe, but she also requested to speak only to you." I blinked. "What? Why?" She wouldn't say. She refused food, refused water, refused to talk to any officer. Just kept saying, "Bring him. Bring Lily's father." My breath hitched. I'm not talking to her. Not today. Not while my daughter. The door burst open. An officer rushed in. "Detective, the hospital called." My heart dropped into my stomach. "Is she alive?" I whispered. The officer nodded quickly. "She made it through surgery, but the doctor said to come now." I didn't wait. I pushed past both officers and ran down the corridor. At the hospital, the smell of antiseptic slapped me the moment I walked in. Nurses moved briskly. Machines beeped. Every second felt like a weight pressing into my ribs. A doctor approached, tall, tired, still wearing surgical gloves. "Are you Lily's father?" "Yes. Please tell me she's okay." "She's stable for now," he said carefully. "The bullet passed dangerously close to her lung, but we removed it. She lost a lot of blood, but she's fighting." My legs almost gave out. "But," the doctor continued, hesitating. "But what?" I asked, my voice trembling. "The bullet fragments caused trauma near the nerves in her shoulder. We won't know the full extent until she wakes up." I nodded shakily. "Can I see her?" "Just for a moment." He led me into a room. The sight shattered me. My little girl lay pale and motionless, hooked up to tubes and monitors, her small chest rising and falling with machine-assisted breaths. Her skin looked too weak, too fragile for the brutality she'd endured. I sat beside her, holding her hand gently. "Daddy's here. I'm not going anywhere. I promise." A soft knock came from behind. "Detective Miller." "I know this is the worst possible time," he said quietly, "but Karen's insisting she won't speak unless she sees you." I clenched my jaw. Why should I care what she wants? She tried to kill my child. "I understand," Miller replied, "but we need to know why she targeted her. And you're the only one she'll talk to." My eyes drifted to Lily's bandaged shoulder. If talking to that monster could prevent more danger. I took a deep breath. "Fine. Let's get this over with." Interrogation room. Karen sat on the other side of the glass, handcuffs digging into her wrists, hair messy, eyes wild, but her smile? Chillingly calm, almost victorious. Miller nodded. "Whenever you're ready." I stepped inside. The moment she saw me, her expression changed, not anger, not guilt, but a strange mixture of pity and triumph. "You finally came," she whispered. I sat across from her. "Why did you shoot my daughter?" She laughed softly. "Still pretending? Still acting like you're innocent. My fists clenched. Say what you came to say. Karen leaned forward until the chains on her cuffs tightened. She shouldn't have been snooping, Karen hissed. She shouldn't have found the box. My heart stopped. What box? You really want to play dumb? She smirked. Your daughter. She saw something she wasn't supposed to. Something buried. Something connected to your past. Past? My stomach twisted. What did she see, Karen? Say it. Karen's eyes gleamed with a sick satisfaction. She found the file with your real identity. I froze. Ice-cold dread crept up my spine. What identity? I whispered. Karen tilted her head, smiling like someone who had just won a war. You're not who you say you are, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows. I stared at her, breath caught in my throat. I knew the truth was dangerous, but I never imagined it would put my daughter in the line of fire. What file had Karen found? What did she think she knew? And why was she so certain? I wasn't who I claimed to be. Before I could speak, she said one last chilling sentence. She deserved to be stopped before your secrets destroyed us all. Karen's last words hung in the air like toxic smoke. She deserved to be stopped before your secrets destroyed us all. I sat frozen, a father torn between fury and confusion. My mind sprinted in 1,000 directions, trying to connect dots that didn't exist, or maybe dots I refused to accept existed. Detective Miller stood behind the one-way mirror, arms crossed, studying every twitch on my face. Karen leaned back in her chair, breathing calmly, as if she hadn't just shot a child hours earlier. I forced my voice to stay steady. Karen, you think I have secrets? What secrets? I've lived here for barely a year. I barely had a conversation with you outside of your HOA harassment. She smiled, that cold, knowing grin again. You moved into this neighborhood too quietly, she said. No social media footprint. No extended family visits. No old friends coming around. You think we don't notice? You think we don't track who our neighbors really are? I blinked hard. What does any of this have to do with shooting my daughter? She leaned forward, the metal cuffs clinking. Because your daughter found it. The file. The truth. She saw your real name. My breath caught. Real name? What was she talking about? I don't know what you think you found. I began. Karen slammed her fists on the table hard enough that the entire chair jolted. Stop lying. 2 officers immediately stepped inside, hands hovering near their weapons, ready to restrain her. But she didn't attack, she just trembled, breath shaking with adrenaline and fury. She opened the box in your garage, Karen said through gritted teeth. The black box with the false bottom. Your documents, your photo, your badge. My heart pounded so violently I felt it in my throat. Badge? No, that badge wasn't supposed to exist anymore. That part of my life was buried, erased, or so I thought. Karen watched my expression shift, just enough for her to know she wasn't wrong. Oh, she whispered, smiling darkly. Now you remember. Miller stepped forward. Mr. Hayes, do you know what she's talking about? Mr. Hayes, the name I'd used for the past 5 years. A name built on necessity and survival. I took a shaky breath. Detective, I can explain everything, but not in front of her. Karen laughed harshly. Of course you don't want to say it in front of me, because you know I'm right. You know I'm the only one who figured it out. She leaned closer, eyes unblinking. You're not just some construction manager. You're not even a civilian. And your daughter, she found out. I shook my head. My daughter doesn't know anything about my past. She saw the documents, Karen snapped. The certificates. The undercover reports. The photos from the operation in Nevada. Your name wasn't Daniel Hayes. It was... Enough. I yelled, slamming my palms on the table. The officers stepped in fully now, hands on their belts, ready. Karen just grinned, wider, satisfied at having pierced through my defenses. Detective Miller raised his hands calmly. Everyone stepped back. He nodded to the officers, and they reluctantly moved aside. Karen lowered her voice. Everything I did was to protect this neighborhood. The HOA rules are there for a reason. We keep this place safe. You shot a child, I growled. She wasn't a child anymore. Karen screamed. She knew too much. She could expose everything. She could put us all at risk. Risk of what? I demanded. Karen's chest heaved. Her voice turned eerie, dripping with paranoia. Risk of you being exposed, and everything that comes with men like you. I swallowed hard. And then Karen whispered something I will never forget. Men who leave bodies behind. I stared at her, stunned, disbelief, confusion, and a terrifying realization. Karen didn't just think I had a secret past. She genuinely believed I was a threat to the entire neighborhood. She had built an entire fantasy conspiracy theory around me, and she acted on it. Miller ended the interrogation, slamming the folder shut. That's enough for today. 2 officers grabbed Karen by the arms. She struggled, screaming as they dragged her out of the room. You can't hide anymore. You can't hide. She saw it. She saw. The door slammed shut, muffling her voice. I collapsed into the chair, breathing hard. Miller looked at me, eyes filled with concern and something else, suspicion. Is any of what she said true? He asked quietly. I stared at the table, palms sweating. After a long silence, I said, Detective, let me see my daughter first. After that, I'll tell you everything. But what Karen thinks she knows. She twisted it. All of it. He nodded slowly, though the doubt lingered. We'll talk later, he said. Back at the hospital. By the time I reached Lily's room again, night had fallen. The hallway lights were dim, the world quieter. I entered her room softly, the steady beeping of the heart monitor greeting me like a fragile reminder she was still alive. Her cheeks were pale, her breathing light and shaky. Her fingers twitched beside the blanket. I sat next to her, gripping her hand gently. Sweetheart, I whispered. Did you open something in the garage? Her eyelids fluttered. Daddy? I'm sorry, she murmured weakly. My chest tightened. No, baby. You're not in trouble. Just tell me. She swallowed, painfully. I dropped a paintbrush. It rolled under the shelf. I saw a little black box. It had a loose bottom. I didn't mean to snoop. Her voice trembled. I opened it because the bottom felt weird. My heart felt like it cracked. I saw your picture, she whispered. But you look different. Younger. And there's a badge. Tears stung my eyes. I brushed her hair gently. It's okay, baby. You didn't do anything wrong. But inside, my mind was spinning. Karen had seen Lily find the box. Karen had watched us through cameras. Karen had built her own story from half-truths. And she became violent because of it. Lily squeezed my hand weakly. Dad, are you in trouble? No, I said softly. But something old, something I hoped would stay buried, is waking up again. As I sat there, a storm of guilt and dread rising inside me, the door creaked open. Detective Miller. His voice was low, serious. Mr. Hayes, or whatever your real name is, we need to talk. Right now. I stood, turning slowly, because I knew this moment was coming. The past never stays dead. Not forever. And whatever truth Karen thought she uncovered, the real truth was much darker. Detective Miller's face was unreadable, but his tone told me everything. This wasn't a request. It was an order. The hallway lights flickered faintly as he motioned for me to follow him. I squeezed Lily's hand gently one last time. I'll be right back, I whispered. Her eyelids fluttered, barely open. Daddy? I promise, I said. No matter what happens, I'm coming back. I stepped out, closing the door behind me. Miller led me down a quiet wing of the hospital, turning into a private consultation room, usually reserved for family updates or medical emergencies. The irony wasn't lost on me. He shut the door softly, then turned to face me. Start talking, he said. I took a slow breath. I had known this day might come. I just didn't think it would come, because my daughter had been shot by an HOA psychopath. My name isn't Daniel Hayes, I began. Miller didn't blink. Then what is it? I looked him dead in the eyes. Chief Nathan Cole. For the first time since the shooting, Miller's face cracked. Shock washed over him, so violently he actually took a step back. Wait, as in Nathan Cole, the former police chief of Reno? The one who vanished during the Nevada Syndicate takedown? I nodded once. Miller stared at me, speechless. You faked your own death. No, I said. The cartel did that for me. I just stayed dead. He ran a hand through his hair. I've read your files. You were the one who took down the Ruiz organization. You were the cop they wanted wiped off the map? Exactly, I said quietly, which is why the DOJ gave me a new identity and relocated us. My wife, she didn't make it out. Only Lily and I did. Miller swallowed hard. Jesus. I turned away, breathing shakily. These memories were scars, deep, jagged ones. I didn't tell anyone. I continued. Not neighbors. Not co-workers. Not friends. I needed Lily safe. I needed a quiet life. No attention. No enemies. Just peace. Miller nodded slowly, finally understanding. But Karen, he muttered. She was mentally unstable, I said. She saw surveillance cameras and HOA rules as power. She thought she was protecting the neighborhood. The moment Lily found that badge and file, Karen saw it. She watched through her camera, and she built an entire story in her mind. That you weren't Daniel Hayes, Miller said. That I was a threat, I replied. Miller exhaled. So, Karen thought Lily discovered the truth, that her dad was the former police chief who dismantled a cartel. And instead of alerting authorities like a sane person, she believed your past meant danger was coming. My jaw clenched. Karen didn't want the neighborhood to be targeted by enemies who don't exist anymore. She believed killing Lily would stop whatever she imagined was coming. Miller dropped into a chair, stunned. She acted like she was eliminating a threat. My voice cracked. She executed a child. My child. Miller nodded grimly. You're right. A long silence followed, heavy as concrete. Then Miller straightened. Chief Cole. Don't call me that, I said quietly. Not anymore. Miller ignored the request. Chief, Karen asked for you because she knew you'd understand the weight of what she thought she discovered. I frowned. That doesn't make sense. She thought you were a hidden enemy, Miller said. And when she realized Lily found your file, she believed the neighborhood was one step away from being a battlefield again. Karen doesn't understand that part of my life is dead. Chief, Miller hesitated. Is it? I looked at him sharply. What? He pulled out his phone, swiped, and turned the screen toward me. It was a text from an unknown encrypted number. We know who you are. Your cover is blown. Nevada never forgets. My heart slammed against my ribs. When did you get this? I demanded. 15 minutes ago, Miller said. Right after Karen's outburst. I shot through my veins. This wasn't paranoia anymore. This wasn't Karen imagining an enemy. Someone real new. Someone from my past. Someone dangerous. Are you telling me, I whispered, that Karen might have been right? No, Miller said quickly, not right in shooting your daughter, never that. She's unstable, delusional, but her obsession may have accidentally triggered someone else to start digging. I staggered back, gripping the edge of the table. Lily, my baby girl. She was hurt because someone from my old life resurfaced. Someone watching. Someone waiting. Listen, Miller said firmly, stepping closer. Karen isn't part of this. Her shooting was her own violent delusion. But these messages? This is real. My breath turned shallow. So they know I'm alive, I whispered, and they know you have a daughter. The world tilted slightly. I cover my face with both hands. I can't do this again, I said, voice cracking. I can't uproot her life again. I can't watch her grow up in hiding, terrified every day. Miller's voice softened. Chief, you don't have a choice. I slammed my fists on the table. Don't call me that. He flinched. I'm just a father, I said through gritted teeth. Not a badge. Not a target. Not a ghost from the Nevada files. Just a father. Miller waited until my breathing steadied. I'll assign officers outside your daughter's room, he said quietly, and outside your home. No one gets in or out without clearance. My head lifted. Thank you. But, he added, you need to speak with federal security. If someone is resurfacing, they'll want you back underground. I stared at him. Not again. Not after everything Lily survived. Not after the years we fought to rebuild. You tell them, I said slowly, that I'll cooperate only if my daughter is protected fully, permanently. You have my word, Miller said. We stood there for a moment. Two men. One haunted by the past. One trying to understand it. Finally, Miller stepped back. Go to your daughter. I'll handle the rest. I turned toward the door, hand on the handle, when suddenly a nurse sprinted down the hallway outside, shouting desperately. Code Blue. Room 213. That's the girl who was shot. My stomach dropped. Lily. I bolted out of the room, so fast Miller barely kept up. The hallway blurred. Nurses and doctors rushed toward a room. A machine alarmed loudly. My heart hammered in my ears. When I reached the door, two nurses blocked me. Sir, please. That's my daughter. I roared. Inside, Lily's monitor flatlined. Doctors shouted orders. Compressors moved. Oxygen masks tightened. Fluids rushed. Hands pressed desperately into her chest. And for the first time all day, I felt powerless. Not as Chief Nathan Cole. Not as Daniel Hayes. Not as a man with secrets. Just a father. Watching his little girl slip away. A flat line. A single, sharp, endless tone that sliced straight through my soul. Clear. A doctor shouted, charging the paddles. I stood outside the doorway, like a man whose body had turned to stone. My mind screamed to push through, to save my daughter with my own hands, but my feet wouldn't move. My body wouldn't respond. I watched helplessly as electricity surged through Lily's tiny chest. Her small frame lifted off the bed, then fell back with a thud. Again. Detective Miller grabbed my shoulder, grounding me before I collapsed. Cole, listen to me, stay strong. But the father in me was breaking apart piece by brutal piece. Lily wasn't breathing. She wasn't moving. I pressed my forehead to the glass window, choking on air. Come on, baby, fight. Fight for me. The doctor repeated the shocks. The nurses squeezed oxygen. Another doctor pushed medication. Then, wait, we have a pulse. My head snapped up. Sinus rhythm returning. A nurse said, breathless, she's coming back. A sound left me, part sob, part prayer, part desperation collapsing into relief. My knees nearly buckled, but Miller held me upright. She's not out of danger, the doctor warned as he stepped out, but she's fighting. That's a good sign. I wiped my eyes, nodded shakily, and stepped into the room when they allowed me. Lily looked fragile, like even the air might hurt her, but her chest rose, then fell, then rose again. A rhythm that gave me hope. I took her hand, gently. Daddy's not leaving. Ever. But even as I said it, something cold twisted in my gut. Someone out there had sent that message. Someone out there knew my real identity. And if they knew Lily existed, they would try again. Hours later, a disturbance. It was near midnight when an officer rushed into the hallway. Detective Miller, we have a situation downstairs. My stomach clenched. What now? The officer hesitated. Security footage shows someone entering the hospital. Someone not on the approved list. Miller's eyes darkened. Show me. We hurried to the security room. A guard replayed the footage. A man in a hoodie walked in calmly, head down, face partially hidden. He moved like he belonged there, confident, unhurried. No weapons visible. But his posture, too controlled, too trained. What wing did he go to? Miller asked. The guard swallowed. Pediatrics. My blood ran cold. That's where Lily is. I barked. Miller snapped orders instantly. Lock every exit. Seal off the pediatric floor. No one goes in or out. Officers ran in every direction. But I wasn't waiting. I sprinted out of the room, heart pounding so hard it hurt. Every hallway felt tighter. Every shadow felt threatening. When I reached Lily's wing, two officers stood guard. Any movement? Miller asked. No, sir. No one entered. I pushed through to Lily's room and stopped dead. The window was open. Cold night air drifted through the curtains. Lily lay in bed, hooked up to machines but untouched. Safe. Asleep. Thank God. But someone had been here. A figure stepped out from behind the door, hands raised. Don't shoot. My heart dropped. Karen? No. Worse. It was Marcus Ruiz, younger brother of Jorge Ruiz, the cartel leader I put behind bars. A ghost from the past I hoped never to see again. He smirked. You look older, Chief. Miller drew his gun instantly, hands where I can see them. Marcus lifted them calmly. Relax, detective. If I wanted the girl dead, she wouldn't be breathing right now. I lunged at him, rage erupting like fire, but Miller held me back. Let me end him. I roared. Marcus chuckled. Temper, temper. Still the same. But I didn't come to kill her. Then why are you here? Miller demanded. Marcus looked at Lily, then at me. To warn you. I froze. Warn me of what? I asked. Marcus stepped closer, still within gun range, still calmly unafraid of death. You think I sent that message? He scoffed. You think I care that you're alive? My brother's the one rotting in prison, not me. Then who? I growled. Marcus' grin faded. Someone worse. He reached into his pocket slowly, carefully, showing he wasn't drawing a weapon. He held out a folded paper. Miller snatched it before I could. He unfolded it, eyes narrowing. Then he handed it to me. It was a photo of Lily, taken from across the street. A red X was drawn over her. Underneath, handwritten, if the chief won't die, his daughter will. My stomach twisted violently. This isn't us, Marcus said. Our family's done with you. This is someone else. Someone who wants revenge for what happened in Nevada. I swallowed. Who? Marcus leaned closer and whispered. Someone you put in the ground who didn't stay there. Ice shot up my spine. What? He shrugged. Thought you'd want a heads up. You saved my cousin once during a raid. I owe you a favor. Consider this it. Miller pushed forward. You're not going anywhere. Marcus raised both hands. Detective, if you arrest me, the person targeting him goes quiet. And trust me, you don't want them quiet. Before Miller could command otherwise, Marcus backed toward the open window. Tell your daughter to stop snooping, Marcus said with a smirk. It might save her life. Then he disappeared over the ledge. Officers rushed to the window. Marcus was gone. A ghost again. The realization. My breathing turned shallow. Someone out there wasn't just watching. They were planning, hunting, and using Karen's paranoia as cover. Lily stirred weakly in bed. Dad, she whispered. I rushed to her. I'm here, I said, brushing her hair gently. Her eyes fluttered open. Is someone trying to hurt us? My chest tightened. Yes, I whispered honestly. But I won't let them. She squeezed my hand. I'm scared. I know, sweetheart. But you're strong. And I'm here. Always. Behind me, Miller cleared his throat. Cole, you need to leave the city. Tonight. I turned sharply. No, I'm not uprooting Lily again. Not until I know who's out there. And when you find them? Miller asked. I looked at Lily. Then, at the open window Marcus escaped through. Then, at the X drawn over my daughter's face. When I find them, I said quietly, it ends. This time, permanently. There are moments in life when fear stops being a feeling and becomes a presence, a shadow that stands beside you, breathes with you, moves with you. That was the shadow standing in Lily's hospital room now. Not Karen. Not Marcus. Something much darker, something patient, intelligent, and determined. Detective Miller wasn't exaggerating. We had to act fast. But running without knowing who the enemy was? That was suicide. I'd spent my entire former career teaching younger officers that you don't flee from a threat until you understand it. I wasn't just a father anymore. I was a father being hunted. Lily's monitors beeped softly as she slept, her breathing shaky but steady. I sat by her bed, brushing my thumb across her hand, memorizing every detail. I didn't know how many more chances I'd get to sit like this. Cole, Miller said quietly from behind me, we need a plan, and we need it now. I nodded slowly, standing up, forcing myself back into the man I used to be, the man I hoped I never had to become again. Marcus said, "Someone you put in the ground didn't stay there," Miller continued. "Who was that supposed to be? Who did you take down in Nevada who could survive being dead?" Only one name came to mind, and even thinking it filled my lungs with ice. Dante Vargas. Miller stiffened. That monster. I swallowed hard. He was the Ruiz cartel's strategist, ruthless, brilliant, untouchable. I led the raid that killed him, or supposedly killed him. Miller swore under his breath. If Vargas is alive... He's not just alive, I interrupted. He's coming for me, and he'll hurt anyone close to me to get revenge. I looked at Lily. Anyone close. Miller paced the room. We need witnesses, surveillance, evidence, something. And before he could finish, the overhead lights flickered. Once, twice. Then the hallway went completely dark. The beeps of the machines became the only sound in the room. Miller drew his gun instantly. "Back up now," he ordered into his radio. Static. The entire hospital had gone silent, too silent. I stepped in front of Lily, my heartbeat echoing in my ears. "He's here." Miller swallowed. "How can you be sure?" "Because Dante Vargas doesn't send men to do his dirty work," I whispered. "He does it himself. He wants to see the fear." A faint click echoed from the hallway. A gentle mocking clap. Then a slow set of footsteps. Miller raised his gun. "Show yourself." A voice replied, smooth, calm, chilling. "I already did." The footsteps stopped just outside the doorway. The emergency lights finally flickered on, casting a dim red glow across the hall. And there he was, Dante Vargas, alive, older, thinner, but still carrying that wicked smile, the smile of a man who valued pain as a form of art. He stepped into the room like a visitor, hands in his pockets, unbothered by the two armed men facing him. "Chief Nathan Cole," he said softly, "I must say, faking your death did wonders for your stress levels. You look almost peaceful. Until today, of course." Miller pointed his gun straight at Vargas' chest. "One more step and you drop." Vargas ignored him. His eyes settled on Lily. My blood turned volcanic. "Don't look at her," I growled. Vargas smirked. "Why? She's quite brave. Stronger than you were at her age, I'm sure." I stepped forward. "I should have finished you when I had the chance." "You tried," Vargas said calmly. "But death is such a temporary inconvenience." Miller lunged forward. "Hands where I can see them." Vargas lifted them slowly. "Detective, relax. If I wanted the girl dead, I'd have done it hours ago. I prefer something more poetic." He glanced at me again. "To take the daughter of the man who took my empire? That has beauty, balance, justice." Every muscle in my body tightened. "No," I said. "This ends tonight. You're not laying a hand on her." Vargas chuckled. "You're right. I'm not." He reached into his coat slowly and tossed a phone to the ground in front of Miller. A video was paused on the screen. Miller picked it up, eyes widening. "What the—" It was Karen, in another interrogation room. Blood on her face. Bruised. Terrified. Vargas tilted his head. "You thought she acted alone? That she wasn't pushed? Fed lies? Manipulated?" My jaw clenched. "You used her." "I molded her," Vargas corrected. "A paranoid mind is such fertile ground. A little suggestion, a well-placed threat, and suddenly your neighbor becomes my weapon." Miller looked horrified. "You turned Karen into an assassin." "She failed," Vargas said with disdain. "But her failure helped me find you. Every delusion she had, I placed in her head. Every rage-filled note, I whispered the seeds of it. And when she shot your daughter, I knew you'd come out of hiding. I felt sick. Karen hadn't been crazy from the start. She'd been corrupted, controlled." Vargas stepped closer, and that's when I saw it. A small silver detonator in his hand. "Step aside, Chief," he whispered, "or this entire wing disappears." Miller gripped his gun tighter. "Don't move." But I raised my hand. "Miller, don't shoot. Are you insane?" Miller snapped. "No," I said. "He want a bullet. It triggers the explosive." Vargas smiled, pleased. "See, He remembers how I play. I looked at Lily, pale, fragile, sleeping. If that detonator went off, she wouldn't stand a chance. Neither would anyone else on this floor. Let's negotiate, I said slowly. Just you and me. Leave her out of this. Vargas laughed softly. Oh, Nathan. Still trying to be the hero. Then his smile faded. The girl dies tonight, he whispered. Either by this detonator or by my hand. Something inside me snapped, a piece of my humanity breaking, revealing the part of me I buried years ago. I stepped forward, eyes locked on him. You're not touching my daughter, I growled. Not today. Not ever. Vargas lifted the detonator. Then say goodbye. Before he could press it, a deafening crack split the air. The sound of a gunshot. Vargas jerked. Eyes wide as a bullet tore through his shoulder, spinning him sideways. Karen stood in the hallway, handcuffed, bleeding, barefoot, but holding an officer's gun with both trembling hands. Her voice cracked. You used me. Vargas turned toward her, snarling. Miller rushed forward, knocking Vargas to the ground. I grabbed the detonator, yanking it from his hand. Officers stormed the hallway, pinning Vargas down. Karen collapsed to the floor, sobbing hysterically, and I rushed to Lily, holding her tight as the room filled with shouts, orders, alarms. For the first time in years, I felt like justice, real justice, was back in my hands. If you made it all the way to the end of this story, thank you. Truly, stories like this aren't just entertainment. They're reminders of how far a parent will go to protect their child and how darkness can hide in plain sight until someone stands up against it. Before you scroll away, I want to ask you something from the heart. Backhand index pointing right, what would you have done if you were in this father's place? Tell me honestly in the comments. Your opinion matters. And if you felt even one moment of shock, pain, fear, or hope during the story, then do me one small favor. Yellow heart, hit the like button. It helps this story reach more amazing viewers like you. Speech balloon, comment your city. I love knowing where my viewers are watching from across the USA. Bell, and most importantly, subscribe so you never miss another emotional, suspenseful story like this one. Your support means everything. I'll be back soon with another story that will pull you in from the very first second. Stay safe, stay strong, and hug your loved ones a little tighter tonight.